When you think back to your first kiss, your graduation day, or even where you were on 9/11, the memories often feel vivid, detailed, and unmistakably real. You might swear by the accuracy of those recollections. But according to cognitive psychologists and neuroscientists, your memories are far from reliable. In fact, science has proven that our brains are not recorders of truth, they're storytellers, and sometimes very convincing liars. The idea that memory is fallible isn't new, but only in recent decades have researchers begun to fully understand just how unreliable it really is. Pioneering psychologist Elizabeth Loftus conducted a series of groundbreaking experiments showing how easily people can be led to form false memories. In one of her most famous studies, she convinced participants they had been lost in a mall as a child, a completely fabricated event. Not only did many participants believe it happened, they added emotional detail and context despite it being entirely untrue. What makes this even more astonishing is that these false memories feel just as real to the individual as genuine ones. That's because memory isn't like a video you replay. It's more like a Wikipedia page you can edit every time you access it. Each time you remember an event, your brain actively reconstructs it, using fragments of the original memory, social cues, emotional context, and present-day beliefs. This reconstruction process is inherently prone to errors, embellishments, and contamination. This phenomenon has deep implications not just for personal nostalgia, but for the justice system. Eyewitness testimony, long considered a gold standard in courtrooms, is now one of the leading causes of wrongful convictions. Organizations like the Innocence Project have helped exonerate individuals based on DNA evidence, even after multiple eyewitnesses had confidently identified them. Memory, it turns out, is as unreliable in a courtroom as it is in a dream. Neuroscience supports these findings with insights into how the brain stores and retrieves memories. The hippocampus, the part of the brain involved in forming new memories, doesn't operate in isolation. It works in tandem with the prefrontal cortex and amygdala, regions associated with emotion, judgment, and decision-making. Strong emotions, particularly fear or joy, can enhance the feeling of certainty about a memory without increasing its accuracy. This is why so-called flashbulb memories, like remembering where you were during a major historical event, feel indelible but are often laced with inaccuracies. False memories aren't just inserted by therapists or external cues, they can arise spontaneously. Your brain may confuse imagination with reality, a process called source monitoring error. If you've ever remembered telling someone a story only to realize later that you merely thought about telling them, that's source confusion at work. Dreams, books, and even movies can feed this process, slipping fiction into the slots your brain has labeled as truth. The rise of digital culture adds another layer to the problem. Social media, photo filters, and curated timelines can alter the way we remember our lives. We remember not the event itself, but the version we posted online or the way others reacted to it. This curated reality creates what researchers call memory conformity, where collective recollections override personal accuracy. The Mandela effect, a phenomenon where large groups of people remember events or facts differently than recorded history, like misremembering the spelling of Berenstain Bears, is a fascinating example of how collective memory can be glitchy. Then there's confabulation, a term used when people fill in gaps in their memory with fabricated stories without intending to deceive. This is common in patients with brain damage or dementia, but it also happens in healthy individuals. If you've ever confidently recalled a childhood pet that never existed, you've experienced a minor form of confabulation. Your brain prioritizes coherence over accuracy. It wants the story to make sense, even if the facts don't. So what does this mean for our sense of self? If our identities are built on our experiences, and those experiences are stored in unreliable formats, what's real? Philosopher Daniel Dennett and neuroscientist Antonio Damasio argue that memory is a fundamental part of consciousness, a constantly shifting narrative that the brain tells itself to maintain a sense of continuity. In this view, the self is not fixed, but fluid, shaped and reshaped by the stories we remember, whether they happened or not. While this may seem disheartening, it also points to the incredible flexibility of the human brain. Our ability to imagine, empathize, and learn from experience, even flawed ones, is rooted in this same system. Memory may be messy, but it's also what makes us human. Awareness of memory's limitations can lead to more empathy, especially when confronting conflicting accounts of shared events. It can make us better listeners, more skeptical jurors, and more honest storytellers. It also invites us to question how our pasts have been constructed, edited, and even manipulated by ourselves and by others. In a world where truth is increasingly contested, understanding the malleability of memory is more important than ever. The next time you swear by a memory, remember, your brain might just be telling you its favorite version of the story, not the real one.